body meeting. So first on our agenda, Ben, are you on the call for the food trucks? You have 5 minutes for your presentation and we have 10 minutes for discussion.
Sure. Hi, Ms. Moore. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Camber. I am with the Department of City Planning, and I believe that, just so that I'm clear, because I did not attend your January NPU full meeting, Chanel Zeisel, who's the Assistant Director of the Office of Housing and Community Development, I believe attended that meeting, and I just wanted to make sure that the presentation that she did present on the food truck ordinance in that meeting, I just want to make sure that there isn't, that I'm not duplicating the information that she already shared with you.
They voted for her to come here, so I'm thinking we want a little more information.
Okay, so I will go through the presentation. Hopefully it's not too much of a repetition of what she shared with you, but I will go through the slides that I have here, and then if anyone has questions, feel free to let me know. This might look like the same presentation that she gave too. So the food truck ordinance that is for review and comment is what I'm going to be talking about today. Hopefully you all can see my screen. Can you see it? You can see the slides that I have up before you?
No.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Here they come. Okay, now we see them.
You can see the slides now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So the food truck ordinance before you for review and comment today. So the goal of my presentation today is to talk a little bit about what the existing right-of-way food truck program in the city looks like, and sort of some of its limitations. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the benefits that food trucks can offer to communities and to entrepreneurs. And then I'll briefly go over what this food truck ordinance does and doesn't do. So the right-of-way food truck program that exists in the city of Atlanta right now is pretty limited in scope. And we're talking, just to be clear, we're talking just about food trucks operating in the on-street right-of-way, so on-street parking spaces. Within the city, the food trucks can operate within a 4 square block area in downtown. We call it Government Walk. It's really an area right around City Hall and the State Capitol building. The program, I think, has been in place now since 2013. It's had limited success. Mainly that's due to just the limited geographic scope that food trucks can actually operate from. And also that food trucks even within this area are competing for parking spaces with cars as well. These are not designated specifically just for food trucks. It's just an area where they're able to operate from once they receive a permit to do so. COVID-19, of course, has really created a lot of challenges for the food truck industry. And one of the other big limitations is there isn't a process right now for additional food truck locations to be added through an administrative sort of community-driven process. And that's a lot about what the ordinance does. So food truck activity has grown a lot through out Metro Atlanta and the nation since the city's existing right-of-way food truck program was put into place. Depending upon the commercial district where food trucks operate within, food trucks can offer different benefits depending upon the neighborhood, but some of the benefits that they can offer is they can help to enhance streets and pedestrian ways within commercial districts. In certain neighborhoods throughout the city, they can help to activate underused public space to improve a district's sense of place and safety. Also, food trucks have a lot of benefits for entrepreneurs, especially those with limited ability to raise capital, because of course, to operate a food truck and to start a food truck, it requires a lot less capital than if a food entrepreneur was going to go and sign a lease on a brick and mortar location and see what the costs that are involved with that. And then in certain underserved neighborhoods, food trucks can help to provide more prepared food options, especially in areas where brick and mortar food locations don't exist currently. These are just two photos from other cities that have kind of expanded right-of-way on-street food truck programs, that are not solely designated in their downtowns. This is Boston and Columbus. So what does the ordinance do? So the ordinance, it's pretty simple. What it does is it authorizes the Department of City Planning to manage a process to designate new on-street food truck locations within commercial districts in the city. That's essentially what it does. And then new locations, so these new on-street food truck locations will be designated through a community-driven application process managed by the Department of City Planning. There only would be located within or adjacent to commercial districts, so they wouldn't be designated. The requirements don't allow them to be designated within residential neighborhoods. And once a space or two is designated for food truck parking, it would be designated by signage. So they would be spaces that would be available to permitted food trucks only during certain times and days of the week, through signage. The ordinance doesn't change the process for how food trucks operate on private property. So there's already a process in place for how a food truck can get permitted to operate anywhere on private property. This ordinance doesn't change that at all, that process. This is only about on-street public right-of-way food truck operations within commercial districts. I should also say that this ordinance doesn't change the permitting process for food trucks. So there's a process in place right now for how a food truck can receive a permit from the city to operate in that government walk area in downtown. This ordinance doesn't change how that process works. So that would still exist underneath this new ordinance. These are just from 3 different organizations, CIDs and business associations who have endorsed the ordinance, who are excited about it. And I won't read through the quotes here, but for different commercial districts, different parts of the city, there potentially will benefit from food trucks in different ways. So it kind of speaks to some of those different ways there. Okay, I will. That's the conclusion of my presentation. If there's time, I can answer any questions that anyone has about the ordinance.
There is time. Does anyone have any questions? Raise your hands.
Ms. Salvery has a question.
Miss Carrie, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Okay, so I guess my question is, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry, I was talking to the family. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, this area that you're designating for food trucks is a very highly vehicularly traveled area. And is there sufficient space or allowance of space for the vehicles and the pedestrians to interact with the food truck, and in particular with social distancing right now?
Yeah, sure. So I should say that I'll first off by just stating, because it might not have been clear from my presentation or from the ordinance itself, is that the ordinance, while it authorizes the Department of City Planning to sort of manage a process to designate new food truck locations, city planning through this ordinance will not make the decisions on our own, for where these food truck locations should be, for a lot of reasons. One being that we don't really know where, a food truck should be within, designated food truck parking area should be within the city. We describe it as a community-driven process because it's really up to commercial districts, representatives of commercial districts and of the community to make the ultimate decision, to petition our Department of City Planning to, decide where those locations should be. And the first step of that petition process is an application that we'll have available that, a member of the community or of the commercial district where the location would be would, fill out. And they would, through that application, enter into a location review and some other steps of the process. But that's sort of how the process would be initiated. So for commercial districts that don't have an interest in having food trucks operate within them, this ordinance would not lead to food trucks being, food truck parking areas being designated. So I just wanted to make that clear. To the point about social distancing and just ensuring that there's enough space for pedestrians to, be able to, purchase food from food trucks. There is, I believe, a requirement within the ordinance that there is at least that the sidewalk. So food trucks have to vend, their window has to face the sidewalk. So that should be clear first. And there needs to be, I believe, 5 feet of clearance space on that sidewalk between the front of a business and the curb. So there is a certain distance requirement to ensure that there's enough space for people to pass through as well who are just walking.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Carrie? Carrie?
Yes, that does answer my question.
Okay, good. Okay, next question. I don't know how to say your name, and I don't really want to try to say it. Last name, Kotak. Your hand was up next.
Yes. Hi, my name is Tejas Kotak.
Okay, hi, Kotak.
Yes. Thank you for that. Ben, thanks for your presentation. I am curious if under this permit or under other city ordinances, there are emissions limits on food trucks. In general, I like the idea of expanding where food trucks can be, but I'm concerned about significantly increasing local air emissions due to the bad respiratory health effects that can have.
Yeah, that's a really good point. To my understanding, I don't believe there's any specific emissions requirements for food trucks, but I can, certainly not within this ordinance, but I can do a little bit more research and get back to you if there's any other, city code requirements or other requirements that would speak specifically to the emissions of food trucks. But I do think that's a good point that you bring up.
Okay, so did that help you out?
Yes, thanks, Ben.
Okay.
Sure.
Brenda Walker, you are next.
Yes, my question is, could you give us an example of where a food truck may be located if they're not going to be in residential areas? Like, would you have to drive to get to the food truck?
That's a good question. So when I say that they're not going to be allowed in residential areas, it just means that any sort of single or 2 family zoned neighborhood, these designated food truck parking spaces wouldn't be allowed to be designated within them. So we're talking about areas that are zoned for commercial use, for for multi designated use, for any other type of use. So, but the way that we really envision them in our conversations with a lot of different communities and commercial districts throughout the city, these would probably be most likely located in areas that already have sort of a concentration of businesses, and an area where people normally think of shopping or eating. But also, we have we've talked with certain communities that are interested in also there's certain areas of their commercially zoned districts that don't have a lot of brick and mortar businesses right now, but they have, a plan to put in place to, help to activate certain spaces. So it really just depends on the community and how they, think that food trucks can really help to benefit them, while also keeping in mind that, the food trucks themselves need to be in a, an economically, viable area so that they can, get enough business to be able to, fulfill their own needs and operations.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Renda?
Yes, I just don't see where it would benefit my neighborhood.
Okay. Mother Moore.
Yeah, I should say it won't benefit. Yeah, it's not going to benefit every single neighborhood. And we kind of designed the ordinance so that the neighborhoods and the communities that, that see a benefit from, adding food trucks to them, to have a process to, bring those food trucks to those communities. But we do acknowledge that not every community, certainly in the city, is going to have, be able to benefit from food trucks.
Okay, Mother Moore, this is the last question, so we can move on to the next agenda item.
Yes, I can help Miss Brenda. The beloved community met with Ben because we're driving the implementation of the West Side Land Use Framework Plan and the development of the Brawley Alexander Business District in English Avenue. And so that's a mixed use corner, a business corner. So if you're familiar with that area, that's an example of a place where
Stop. Get that off your head.
food trucks we have a potential for them to help us rebuild our business district.
We have one more question, Annie, if you don't mind.
I don't.
Okay, I wanted to, well, there's one in the chat and there's one question I wanted to ask. The question in the chat is, can they be located around parks? And then my question is, when will this come to all the NPUs for a vote?
So the question about parks, so the ordinance does, regardless of zoning designation, the ordinance does allow for food truck, designated on-street food truck parking areas to be located adjacent to parks, City of Atlanta parks. So if there's a City of Atlanta park that has an adjacent public right-of-way street, a food truck could, a designated food truck area could be made there, regardless of the zoning designation of that particular area. So hopefully that answers your question. So they wouldn't, I'd have to get back to you around whether or not food trucks currently are allowed to operate within parks, within City of Atlanta owned parks. I don't think there's anything necessarily restricting them, but I can get back to you on that. But in terms of on the on-street, right of way, they would be allowed to be designated nearby parks. As far as the voting, my understanding, so that this ordinance right now is in the Public Safety Committee right now. We received direction to present to all of the MPUs on the ordinance, at every MPU meeting in January for review and comment. As far as I understand, that's all I know about it. I don't know if it's actually going to be formally voted on within the MPUs themselves, but this is the opportunity for any sort of official review and comment to be submitted. So hopefully that answers your question.
Is that it, Jen?
Yes, that was all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Ben.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the great questions, too.
Yep, thank you. Okay, next we have Rob Mullis, Windsor Stevens, 703 Lindsay Street. Go ahead, Rob, you're on. You have 5 minutes to do your presentation. Rob, you're muted.
Thank you for allowing
Thank you.
me to present today. Our firm, Windsor Stevens, we're developing a mixed-use building at 703 Lindsay, which is on the corner of Lindsay, Wheeler, and Oliver, next across the street from the Brock-built Oliver Street townhouse development, and a block away from the Beltline on Lindsay and Jefferson. I want to talk a little bit about our team. Our team's been together since 2014. We have internal team members of Lester Simpson, Kimberly Melton, and Shaveen King. And then our external partners, the general contractor is H.J. Russell. We've been working with, this will be our fifth project together, actually. Niles Walton is our architectural firm. Eberly and Associates is our civil engineering firm. Our legal counsel is Nelson Mullins, and our accounting firm is Aprio. We've been in the development business and in communities that have not had a lot of development going back to 2014, 2015. We delivered our first project called the Pad on Harvard in downtown College Park, which was a 109 unit market rate apartment deal. The first market rate apartment deal in College Park in 50 years. Pleased to say that we are 98% occupied there. And when we started our project, the vacancy on Main Street in College Park was hovering around 50% for retail and restaurants. Today, even with COVID-19, it's approaching 90%. So we think we had an impact in creating opportunities for entrepreneurship in that neighborhood. Our second project, also located in College Park, is Temple Square. It is a for sale product. It is 3-sided brick. First phase for 12 townhomes, second phase for another 5. And we're pleased with the results of that product also. Our third project is in Chamblee. We've just been set for construction to begin in May of this year. It's a condo project for sale that is adjacent to what they call the rail trail, and it has a 7,000 square foot of retail on the bottom. The site in which is in question is right behind K&K Seafood and Prayer of Faith at Church of God in Christ just a block south of Donnelly Hollowell. This is the proposed zoning area. It is zoned for SPI 3, sub area 8, special public interest area. And we have applied to the City of Atlanta Planning Department for an SAP application. And as part of that SAP application, we have applied for a variance for the height. In the code, the height is set at 45 feet. However, if you use mixes of uses, you can get a zoning bonus of, or a FAR bonus, FAR bonus of 3.3. If you only are going to do residential, your FAR is 1.49. We feel that it is very difficult to achieve a 3.3 FAR with a 45 foot height cap, and that it's contrary to the intent of having mixes of uses in the side of the community. And so we're asking the community for its support on our SAP application and a height variance request. And we're asking for the height to be increased from 45 feet to 84 feet. I will say that we did present this project to the English Avenue Neighborhoods Association twice, once in November of 2020, where we were successful in receiving from the general body a height variance support letter for 95 feet. In there, we shared with it that we would like to do condos for sale, and that we would have some units that would be set aside for the neighborhood, and that they would be deemed affordable for folks making 80% of the area median income. And we were successful in having the neighborhood vote unanimously for that and writing a letter of support. After having conversations with Invest Atlanta, around the affordability, they encouraged us to increase our affordability, and they said that they would have grant money for us to help with that in the neighborhood. And so we did apply for a grant, and initially we asked for, they asked for 25% units to be affordable. They've since come back and asked for 30%, which we are endeavoring to meet. Again, this is the site with the topography. The most important thing here on the topography is to see the shift in the topography about 8 feet from the Lindsay Street side down to the Oliver Street side. And this will be very, very important as we review the height of the building and how it sits adjacent to the streets. This is currently the site plan for the building. It will be 5 stories over 3 levels of parking and retail. And inside of that retail, we are looking to encourage entrepreneurship. And so we're going to set aside flex space for the community where they can either live or work or both if they're stakeholders in the English Avenue neighborhood, and to encourage them to create businesses that's consistent with the 2016 gap study by Bleakley, and provided for the Westside Future Fund and the English Avenue and Vine City neighborhood. Again, this is our site plans from Niles Bolton. As you can see, we have retail, we have parking. We're still, we'll make some modifications on the site layout, but we were trying to encourage some interaction with the neighbors and providing, you know, amenities to the community inside of the building for the public access. There we have additional residential units, and we have some amenity space, and yeah. So this is kind of the salient point here on the height variance that we're asking for your support on, is that if you look at the Lindsay Street side, we're basically 73 feet on Lindsay based upon the change in the topography from Lindsay down to Oliver Street. Since we do have a substantial drop off, we are going up 83.4 feet, which is below what we're requesting in a variance, but it is consistent with the Lindsay Street side of the development.
Okay.
So just to kind of
Rob,
yes,
I'm gonna give you 1 second because I'll let you go over to wind up real quick. This is more than
Okay.
5 minutes, and we still have
I
to
just want to let you know that we are providing 40 units that are affordable. 6 of the units are for purchase for people who are in the English Avenue neighborhood, flex space, they can live and work and offer our business services to the community. And then 34 units that will be residential affordable. And then 94 would be market rates. And I can stop right there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Mother Moore, you have a question?
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for the other person.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I can't raise my hand. Did you receive anything from English Avenue, Annie, in regards to the support in this with this project?
Actually, I didn't actually receive any letter of recommendation. Nicholas sent a letter of recommendation to the city November 9th. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Rob. I don't remember voting on this in the English, and I don't think I missed that meeting. So I don't really know how, and I'm a little confused because he has a recommendation. He sent it to me, but it was sent to the city. It was not sent to the NPU, and English Avenue is not voting on this until we have our special meeting. So I did email a couple of English Avenue people earlier today, and they don't know anything about this. That we voted on this.
I have been working with the leadership of English Avenue, and I have been working on a CBA, Ms. Moore, with the leadership of English Avenue. That was a condition of the vote that we took, I believe, on November the 7th. I do believe one of the English Avenue leadership folks are maybe here on the phone, but I think that we did vote on this on November the 7th. I think it was unanimous. Now, what we voted on was a condo deal, not an apartment deal. And so I just want to be very clear with that. But inside.
Okay, do you, Mr. Mullis, do you have that letter? Can you produce that letter?
I can't, and I can, but Ms. Moore also has it.
I have a copy of that letter.
Okay.
I have a copy of that letter, John.
All right. All right, so, okay, it would be nice to share it with the people on the call to see exactly what the vote was so that we can make an appropriate decision, but go right ahead.
I mean, I might be able to share it. I will tell you this, it doesn't necessarily say the vote. I read it. It just gives the whole overview of changing the height. And that's where I don't think any of us knew the height increase.
Yeah, so we decreased the height versus increasing the height. The letter had the height at, I think, 95 feet. And through conversations with members in the neighborhood, they shared with us that they did not want it to be that high. And so we reduced it down. We endeavored to reduce it down and maintain the increased affordability.
I'm going to see, Jen, if I can pull it up and share it.
Okay, so in the meantime, Mother Moore, you had a question?
It's not a question. I have a response to this application. I do not support the variance request. I do support the conceptual framework, Rod, as I shared with you, in terms of the vision of what you all are trying to do. The problem, neighbors, is this. One, the project is not contrary to mixed use in our plan. Our plan calls for 5 stories on Hollywell, Northside Drive, Boone, and Lowry. The location where Rod's project is calls for 3 stories. Number 2, so the mixed use piece is not contrary. The other is that the Bleakley study that you referenced, Rod, only speaks to retail for development of English Avenue at the Broadway Alexander Business Corridor and only calls for 5,000 square feet. There's no designation in the Bleakley report for retail development in any other area of the neighborhood. Number 3, the plan and the zoning, neighbors, that we worked for 1.5 years to put into place was designed for us to be able to have managed development for our neighborhood. If we continue to change zoning, and we've only had this zoning as of February 5th, 1 year, so we've not had an opportunity to be able to even operate within it, we will be putting ourselves at risk of escalated development, which will in essence, not allow us to manage the property value development, and we will be in a full-blown traditional gentrified process. So I'm advocating very strongly to our neighbors to request that Rod and his company give us a plan that stays within the zoning, Rod, of that area, which is 3 stories, and do what we need. And finally, we have multiple other units that are being developed in our neighborhood that are going to take care of affordability. And so we need to move those project areas and not continue to destroy our zoning, which is our protection from escalating the gentrification process that we can't manage, which won't allow us to keep our people in the neighborhood.
Okay, and then Mr. Kotak, you are the next hand that was up.
Yes. So my question is, how many parking spaces are allowed in this plan right now, and what is the ratio of parking to floor space?
Yeah, we are currently at 158. That may go down.
Mhm.
So that based upon the flex space and the 2 bedrooms is less than 1 space per bedroom. And we have a total, I believe, of 30 2 bedrooms.
Mhm.
But I will tell you that we are a Fitwell building. I also will tell you that we have solar panels on the roof, and that we are a green building, a sustainable green building. And our goal is to be net carbon zero from an operation perspective.
Okay. The amount of parking spaces and the amount of tree space you are eliminating concerns me for those exact goals. The idea of being carbon neutral while eliminating a lot of old tree growth and adding more parking spaces concerns me.
Well, from our perspective, I think we have 3 trees on there on the site. We've already did a tree survey, and 2 of them are dead. So, I think that we are within the guidelines for the development for the plan, for the neighborhood plan for parking.
Is that it with you, Mr.? Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. We have to do a vote on this. So for the variance, I'm still looking for that letter of support.
I can share that letter with you if you.
Would you please?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And while you're sharing it, so my question is, as you know, I understand that in general, like Mother Moore said, your zoning piece is okay, but that height, that is a 50% increase of the height, and that it goes against our zoning again. And like Mother Moore said, what's important is it's not that we don't want to develop, but the plan was made and the zoning was built to develop over a period of time and not a high impact of development. So like she said, as we continue to go against our zoning and just give everybody the zoning they want, we are automatically doing development in our neighborhood quicker than what we really can handle.
I was trying to share the letter.
Yeah, you can send it. No, you can send it. You can send it. You can send it.
How do I send it?
Via email to the chair. That'll be
Okay.
Yeah, send it to So no, we never got an official recommendation from the English Avenue Neighborhood Association. Jen, he sent it all over to the city.
All right, well, now that we've heard the presentation, we need to get a motion from the floor on how we'd like to proceed. What kind of recommendation would you like to proceed with this project? Because it's going to come before the vote on next Tuesday to the NPU, and to have everything short and sweet, we'd like to have our ducks in a row as far as what you all would like to do with this project. What recommendation do you have?
Does anybody want to make a motion on this project?
I can't raise my hand. This is Miss Adams. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Miss Adams.
Okay, then he said he went on the 9th or the 7th, and he has a letter from English Avenue. So you're saying you didn't get that letter. So what you're asking us tonight is to make a recommendation to send it forward to the NPU on next week for vote. Is that correct?
No, we're voting. Well, we're voting to recommend. Okay, Linda, we're voting whether we recommend the variance change for him to the NPU general body.
Does
that make sense?
Piece?
The variance,
that's what he asking for, the zoning piece, right?
Yes, and he needs to change his variance. He's changing the height.
I'll make a recommendation that you go forward to the NPU for what he's requesting.
Is there a second? The motion on the floor is to send this as a recommendation to move forward to the NPU. Is there a second? There's no second. Motion
Madam Chair,
carries.
this is Byron. Yeah,
Who's that,
I got
Byron?
disconnected from the call. What is this motion on?
This Mr. Mullis has a project. He has a variance that's coming to the NPU on Tuesday. A height variance of, what did you say, Mr. Mullis? 84?
84 feet.
I got it.
40.
I got a noisy background, but I will second that motion that Ms. Adams made.
The motion has been second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Your virtual hand on the side. And to find that, you click on participants.
Again, I can't.
If you can't raise your hand, just
Yeah, we got
got
her.
her.
Adams. Is she?
You got her? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Are we using the yes, no buttons?
No, I think we're raising our hands. Mother
Yeah,
Moore.
you can use the yes, no buttons. I'll count it if you can't find the hand. You can use the yes, no buttons if you want. I'll calculate that for you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Helen, and I do not have a yes, no button, so I needed to unmute in order to cast my vote.
Can you raise your hand? Do you see an option to raise your hand?
Let me try it again. No, ma'am, I do not.
No. Okay, I got you. What is your vote?
Vote for Ms. Adams.
For it. Okay. Mother Moore, are you voting?
I hit my little no button.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, just want to make sure.
I think it goes away because I hit the no button and it went away.
Yeah, it's like it's going away. Okay, so I have 3 no's and I have 8 yays.
Just a point of procedure. Are all these people that are voting members?
Yes, they are. Okay, so the motion carries 8 yays and 3 nays. All right, thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Mullis.
Mullis. Okay,
Thank
so next is Riddle Property Group LLC. Jeffrey Riddle, are you out there?
I'm here.
Are you ready for your presentation, sir?
I am.
Go for it.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Riddle, and I'm joined with Derek Marks, the COO of Riddle Property Group. I serve as CEO, and the property that we're presenting tonight is a 3-acre tract that we own at 561 Thurman Street that currently hosts 30 townhome-style apartments right at Thurman, Maple, and Walnut. We're coming before this body to respectfully request your support to convert those 30 style apartments to 30 townhomes for sale. In addition, we'd like to add an additional 30 units that we will sell, bringing our total to 60. At this time, I'll have Derek bring up some slides to give you all some proximity of where we are and what we've done. Over the last several weeks, we've hosted focus groups and discussions with the corridor to hear from them. We went before the Vine City Civic Association Land Use Committee, as well as we went to the Vine City Civic Association on this past Saturday. Here you'll see some slides from our focus groups. And we just wanted to hear from the community in terms of what they like to see as related to property costs, AMI, et cetera. So we had some ranging from 6% AMI, keep going, Derek, 80% AMI, up to 100% AMI. So you can just see the slides as we go. Next.
Still same side.
Derek, go ahead and start sliding. Okay, so we're waiting for the slides to catch up with us. So the corridor is very candid in what we were doing and what they wanted to see. And they're real clear about, we don't want to keep everything affordable. We want to have a mixture of affordable and market-based units on the property. Also, as it relates to displacing residents, we're going to give our existing tenants the right of first refusal. No one will be displaced, and we will go building at a time. What I mean by building at a time, the 30 units are spread out into 4 different buildings around the property. So now you're looking at some of the results from the survey. So this is what they said about 80% AMI, keep going up. Next is the 100% AMI, followed by questions regarding, keep going, Derek. We asked them about building materials, what they like to see. Hardy plank and wood, stucco and wrought iron, brick, a combination of all the above, and the majority was a combination of all the above. We even asked about names for the property. Parkview Western Heights, Parkview Place, the Parkview Townhome Community, Parkview Commons, and the majority spoke on Parkview Place and Parkview Place West. We talked about lighting, keep going up, package units, walkway lights, a combination of all the above. A combination of all the above was prevailing theme. And then we looked at costs for the units, ranging from $200 to $275. And when they looked at the market rate, the overwhelming majority said going over $275 for the market rate rentals, units, I'm sorry. Keep going. Square footage. Currently, we have about 1,100 square feet, so we can increase our footprint based on our new build out. So you see the majority wants to go as high as 1,500 square feet. And the same thing applied for the 4-bedroom townhomes. The townhomes will go in sizes of 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. Next, Eric. Let's look at the actual proximity so you all can get a better gauge of where we are of the property. We're directly across the street from the forthcoming Cook Park, right there on Walnut. So our property, one side faces Cook Park on Walnut, the other faces the World Congress Center on Maple Street. So that gives you a proximity of where we are, approximately 3 acres. And the infill space gives us room to increase the number of units. We're not seeking a variance nor a zoning change because currently we fall within the purviews of the neighborhood requirements for zoning, density, and the like. Next, we took the liberty to bring out structural engineers to see if we can, in fact, add to our existing units, and we can. So we'll make sure that we give a nice new pop to what we have there for sale. And then we also have photos now to show you all of what we're proposing. This is taking what we have and doing a retrofit, giving more decking, more outdoor living space, and giving a new contemporary urban feel. Next. That's what we have right now. So when we bought the property 10 years ago, I invested about $1 million to take this property to get it to its present form. Well, 10 years is a lot of time. So now it's time to take it to another level, and that's what we're proposing right now. Next. We're still playing with the concept of having a pool on the site behind the unit that's facing the Cook Park property. Next. Again, this is facing Cook Park, and that's Walnut. Keep going. Out of respect for time, I'll stop there and answer any questions from this group. Thank you.
Any questions, y'all?
Yes. Hi, my name is Helen, and I live on Leicester Street, not too far from the location in which you're about to endeavor on. My question is, how long do you think your timeline for this project to come in fruition?
Helen, it all starts with economics. Well, if we get a favorable response from this group and subsequently from the NPUL, we will like to go before Invest Atlanta at their March meeting and ask for support and subsidies. We're also in discussions with MARTA because we fall within a TOD footprint, as well as the Atlanta Housing Authority because they will provide down payment assistance for some of our existing choice residents. That being said, in a perfect world, we'd love to be breaking ground in the fall.
And with that timeline being fall in 2021 COVID-19, that really is like 2022, and the families that are already living there, will they have an opportunity to be able to apply for such a luxury location, or would they have displacement assistance? How would you feel about that? That would be moving them.
Good question. Derek, put up the slide regarding the AMI price points for rentals. So as I said in my presentation, Helen, those existing tenants will have the right of first refusal to actually purchase a unit. And we're working with the Atlanta Housing Authority to assist those persons to buy a unit. If you look here at our pricing points with workforce housing for home ownership, the 3-bedroom at 60% AMI, using a 3.1% interest rate, your rent is at $661. And I'm not going to bore you with reading for you, but you see here, the rental rates are pretty much in line with the mortgage rates for those persons who fall within the affordable housing guidelines. So we're going to definitely make sure that we treat our residents properly, especially our heritage residents, because they've been with us for the longest. So if they don't stay there, we have other properties in the corridor that we'll relocate them to, and we will assist them with transferring and subsidies.
Thank you for showing me that. That's really informative, sir. And the other question to that, and the final question, so I can give somebody else an opportunity to speak. And with assisting those people, and looking at the numbers that you've just shared, the timeline in which a person would need in order to adjust their life, in order to fortify, to get to those numbers, or realize they're not able to get to those numbers. That timeline would be very concerning to the neighborhood, because it will just kind of devastate the community, just like when the water incident happened and the flood happened. It discarded everybody in the land, and everybody had to scatter. So with this wonderful luxury opportunity coming, would you give some training or some pre-information? Because 2021, and you're saying you might be breaking, and boom, construction happens so quickly. So just, you know.
Let me explain to you what we're doing. Derek, pull back up the footprint of the survey.
And I'm going to leave that alone. Thank you for
No,
sharing.
I think that's a good point, if you will. Let me indulge you for a second.
Well, let me just slow you down a little bit, Mr. Riddle. I got 3 hands up, and hold that thought. Keep keep that drawing up, just in case somebody has a question that has something to do with that anyway, and then we're not, you know what I mean? 'Cause I got 10 minutes. You got 10 more minutes with this. 'Cause I gotta go one more project. Mr. Kotak, and then Whiteside, and then Mother Moore.
I have my hand up. I can't hold my hand up, but I unmuted, okay?
Okay, so Miss Adams, so then you're after Mother Moore. Does that work?
That'll work, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so my turn now, or should I wait?
Yes, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Riddle, my question is similar to the one I had for the last project. What is the expected increase in parking with the increased housing units? And is there a way to mitigate that to help increase affordability and construction timeline?
You'll have about a 40% increase in housing. Going back to your last question, we are not concerned with trees because there are none on the property that'll impact emissions and the like. So we'll have about a 40% increase for parking, and we'll use existing surfaces. So it won't be very intrusive to the land and the residents. So again, we have 3 acres to work with for 60 units. And if you look at the pro rata basis, that's a pretty good spread of land for 60 units.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Kotak?
It does, thank you.
Okay, Whiteside?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Riddle, are those 4-bedroom units you talked about for sale or for rent?
The entire project will be for sale. The entire project will be for sale.
Okay. So will the 4 bedrooms be offered at a workforce affordability?
A percentage of those will be offered at workforce availability. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I asked that question because, you know, people that qualify as affordable usually have larger families. Whether that's a generalization or not, that's was the purpose for my question.
And that's why we're working with Invest Atlanta and the Atlanta Housing Authority to be sensitive to that. So we will have 3 and 4 bedroom units on the property primarily.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mother Moore.
Yes, could you outline the affordability percentages and the rates?
That's a work in progress, Mother Moore. I mean, that's the purpose of the focus groups. So if we're saying we want to keep 20% at 60% AMI and 10% at 80% AMI, I think it's safe to say at least 30% of our units will be affordable, at least, and possibly more. So that's our threshold.
And affordable being defined as?
As set forth on the sheet. The AMI is 60%, 80%. So go back to the sheet D. So I took those provided to us by Invest Atlanta, and I gave you all this cheat sheet to see what is being listed right now for affordable. So 3 bedrooms, max at 6% AMI is $154,890, and you can read yourself. So those are the rates right there.
And these are the purchase prices, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
and
my
the
final
parenthetical number is the mortgage, assuming you're at a 3.1% interest rate, which is where it's trading at right now.
So excuse Ms. Moore, my ignorance on it. So I don't know, are we need to vote on this, or this is just informational, Mr.
No,
Riddle?
no. I respect your question.
A vote is needed. A vote is at our NPU meeting next week, Tuesday. However, before we get into, there's some more questions in the chat for Mr. Riddle.
Well, no, I have a question around it, Madam Chair, which is.
Okay, go ahead.
No, this is my first hearing of this project. It came here. It didn't come to English Avenue, and I didn't know if.
This is a Vine City project.
Yes, a Vine City, Mother Moore.
This is not an English Avenue.
As I said, my ignorance. I'm just getting clear. Thank y'all.
No problem.
You're welcome.
There's a question in the chat. Are you affiliated with the apartment on the corner of Sunset and Delbridge?
No, I'm not.
No. Okay. Second, the other question is the focus groups. Who are in these focus groups?
We can provide you with a list of persons that were in the focus groups, but we sent the email out to, I believe, 28 persons, and we had about 12 participate in the focus group, and I believe 11 responded back.
Were there any residents?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay.
Several residents, particularly those on Tyler Street. The young lady who lives in the house directly next to the property. So there were several residents on the call for the
Thank
focus
you.
group.
Okay, Andy, can I go now?
Yes, you can, ma'am. Go ahead,
Okay.
Miss Adams.
Jeff, on the Thurman Street side, is that where you're gonna close that off for the interest that it is now and build that, where you gonna put the 30 units? The extra 30, additional 30 units?
There'll be infill. If you look at the survey, there'll be infill around the property based on what the architects and the survey lays out, or the engineer says for us, but we're gonna do the infill.
Okay. And you are gonna close the interest on Thurman, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that all the questions in the chat, Jen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so how do we want to proceed? We need a vote on this, on a recommendation to the NPU general body meeting. Did we get a recommendation, Madam Chair, from Vine City?
No, ma'am.
You don't, excuse me, you wouldn't get one because they didn't have a meeting. It was a FYI. But
Okay,
I will
so
make a,
are you representing Vine City Civic Association?
no, I was part of the meeting. I'm a member. So
Okay.
I was just saying, you wouldn't
All
get a
right.
letter just yet, Annie.
Okay, thank you. So no, I didn't
Okay,
get anything from VCCA as yet.
so we need to vote on this. So I need a recommendation on how we want to move forward. He needs a vote on whether we accept his, is for the, whether we give you the, for the condos, right, to turn it.
I'm trying to make a recommendation to send it forward to the NPU.
Okay, we'll go.
There's a hand raised. Miss Carrie,
There's a,
hand raised prior to her giving her.
I'll go. Yes, Carrie, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna make a motion to move it on to the NPU.
Okay. So either Linda or Carrie, which one wants to make the motion, and one of y'all could second it?
I second it from
Okay,
Carrie's.
so, okay.
Our projects, I get to travel to places.
Carrie made the motion, Ms. Adams seconded it. And raise your hands for yay.
Or you can do the yes or no. We'll count it any, however you can do it.
Okay, I have to take mine. Yes, I can't raise my hand here.
Yeah, I have to do the yes. I can't raise my hand either.
Ellen says yes also.
I got you, Helen.
Just to help everybody out, I think if you have an iPad or if you're using your phone, you're a yes or a no. If you're using a laptop, I think you're raise your hand.
Okay, so I have 10 yays, no nays, and no abstentions. So the motion,
okay, motion is
recommended to the NPU.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, and our last but not least is Matt Maxwell, 551 Lindsay Street. Matt, you ready?
Yes. Thank you, Ms.
Go
Annie.
for it. You're welcome.
All right. I'm Matt Maxwell with Oaks ATL Community Development with the proposed rezoning for 557 Lindsay Street. Before I get started on the proposed rezoning, I'd like to give a little background of Oaks ATL. We are a nonprofit organization that where our mission is to provide dignity through quality and affordable housing for residents of English Avenue. We are in close partnership with Peace Preparatory Academy located at 881 North Avenue, providing holistic services, elementary education, pre-K 4 through 5th grade, and creating job opportunities for the community. We were founded in 2017 due to the lack of quality housing in the neighborhood. We had several families that we were seeing displaced from the neighborhood, and just a lack of housing, and children and families living in unsanitary conditions and being forced to move. So we started purchasing some of the dilapidated properties and renovating them. Here's the, I'm going to share some of the buildings we did over the past year. This is one that's located at 551 Lindsay Street. It's a 6-unit apartment building that we completely gutted and renovated. Now we have 6 tenants living in it. And they're all 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Our affordability is at 50% AMI. And these units, that equates to these units renting out to $650 a month. Another similar renovation was 891 North Avenue. It's a 10-unit building, completely renovated. Now we have 10 new tenants in there. And the third one that we just finished up was 584 Lindsay Street. It's a 15-unit multifamily apartment building, and we're currently moving in residents as we speak. These are some of the finishes from the interior. Again, we completely renovated them, brought in brand new finishes. And some of the residents that have been impacted. Here's a family who has children at Peace Prep, and the mom works at Peace Prep, and the dad is employed with Oaks ATL on our construction crew. Here's another family that was actually living in one of the buildings that we made arrangements to temporarily move out while we renovated it, moved back in, and they help work on our property management side. Here's another long-term resident that moved in. And here's another long-term resident that moved in. He also works on our construction crew. Okay, getting onto the rezoning. I know it's getting late in the evening, so I'm going to keep moving through this. Here is the corner of North Avenue, Lindsay Street. The yellow highlight is the property we're looking at. This is what it looked like when we purchased it. This is what it looks like now. We demolished the house, and it's a green space currently. And here is what we're proposing. It's 2 stories above our affordable housing that we're looking to target 50 to 80% AMI. It'll be 8 units. Again, there'll be 2-bedroom, 1-bath with 2 retail space below we're proposing. And at this time, those retail spaces we have is to be determined. We want to make sure that we're providing a retail space that's desired by the community, that would also either be owned by community members, run by community members, and employed by community members. But at the same time, we want to do it in coordination with the neighborhood, and not to go ahead or take away from the main business district downtown on Cameron Alexander and James P. Brawley. So one of the proposed ideas or requests is a cafe coffee shop. Here's another view from another angle. This gets into some of the detail of the rezoning, which I can forward. I don't want to spend too much time on the details, but it's sub area 2 right now, and we're proposing to rezone it to sub area 4, which allows us to get up to 8 units on the space. Here's it in plan view. Here's it a massing diagram of the 3 levels. Here is a picture of the neighborhood zoning. We definitely highly value the West Side Framework Plan and the work that went into it, and how the neighborhood was zoned. We do feel like this project fits into the zoning. Downtown, you'll see the highlighted in blue sub area 4, which is the commercial retail space. And then along North Avenue, these areas up here, you'll also see a couple nodes along North Avenue that have retail space and are zoned the same. Ours is the blue block on the left, traveling west on North Avenue. Here is a picture from plan view. So you can see also on this corner, there are 3 larger scale buildings that we're going to try to match in height and structure and architecture. And one of our main focuses of this project and why we do the work that we do is the high need for affordability in the neighborhood to retain existing residents. We ran renter qualification classes for the 31 units we completed this past year, which I showed pictures of previously. We had over 100 people in the classes for only 31 units. So we have a waiting list. We have a continual backlog of people interested in apartments at the affordability rates we're offering, and we just can't produce them quick enough. So there's a sense of urgency for the type of affordability and that we're proposing in this project. So in summary, we desire to create more affordability for the neighborhood, to retain existing residents, and also create job opportunities through it. So this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions? Any questions in the chat, Jen? Okay, well, firsthand, Mother Moore, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to continue to let neighbors know that we're very excited about the work that Oaks ATL is doing in our neighborhood. But again, for us who are championing the framework plan and managed development of the neighborhood, and we've met with Ben and Matt and expressed this, but I want the neighbors to know that we again had requested that they not move for zoning changes in order to allow for us to develop the neighborhood according to the plan that was laid out. And this project would, again, like the project that the Proctor project that Rod knows are doing, would take away from our effort to have managed redevelopment of our neighborhood, and again, push us into a dangerous place of not being able to redevelop the neighborhood in keeping with a planned approach. And so that the neighbors need to know that, again, we're asking if we would not move for this zoning change, because we keep eroding away the opportunity we have to develop a neighborhood that is healthy and sustainable, and recognizing the needs of our people, but having other opportunities for housing in the neighborhood and allowing us to be able to grow in that planned way. And this again, zoning shift is not going to help us do that.
Thank you, Mother Moore. Miss Pat. Miss Pat. I think we lost Miss Pat. Anybody else? Any questions in the chat? Let me check. Someone did ask, Matt, is your group a part of the ownership of the apartments on the corner of Sunset and Delbridge?
No, that was for Mr. Riddle.
Okay, perfect.
Hello.
Miss Pat, you there?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm here.
That's okay, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to voice, I live on Lindsay Street, and I cannot imagine what you're putting there. We have a church right across from you. I can't imagine 8 more apartments and the retail space. That just looks like a horrible traffic jam. It just seems like it's just too much for that little corner. And you know, I applaud the work you've done, but I can't support you on that.
Is that it, Miss Pat?
Yes.
Okay, Sean.
Good evening, everyone. I was, Matt, you came before the neighborhood association and presented this to the land use, if I'm not mistaken, and you received a letter of support in regards to the variance.
No, the way the timing worked out, the English Avenue land use meeting had a special meeting that's scheduled for Wednesday. So that's where that vote will take place.
Okay, I actually missed the last land use meeting, so I didn't know if you got resolution there. Okay, that's my question.
Is that it, Sean?
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Mr. Kotak, come on.
Thank you. Hi, Matt. My question is going to keep to my theme tonight. My question is about parking, because this kind of development could be a big traffic generator and a place where traffic is relatively light, at least on non-church days. So if this is a location that encourages walk up, bike up, and transit use, then we mitigate the traffic concerns. If it's a place where people have to drive there, then yeah, that's a lot of traffic in an intersection that can't handle it.
Yeah, yes, and those are good concerns, and I think those are the reasons why we're being very thoughtful and cautious and need input on what gets developed as those retail spaces. Yeah, so I think that's I think it's a great question. It's a great concern. And I think those are the kind of things that we're pondering as we make decisions and proposals on what goes in those retail spaces.
And there is a question in the chat, Matt, and it said,
well, I was going to say too.
Go ahead.
To finish that question, but our desire is that we create a very walkable community. So far, the units that we've done, the apartments that we've done, it's about 15 to 20% tenants that have cars. So it's not at this point, there's not a lot of cars or street parking or traffic in the area. And we're looking to keep it more of a walkable area. Sorry.
Was that it? That's okay.
Yes, go ahead, Sandy.
So the question in the chat was, did you get zoning changes for the other properties that you presented, which those were apartments, so you didn't have to, did you?
We actually did have to go through the rezoning process because it was before the SPI 3 was approved. So it was a different type of rezoning process, but we did. And we came through the neighborhood association and NPU for them.
And those would have been easier because they were already apartments. They just gutted them and rebuilt them. So I'm sure that was an easier approval because he wasn't changing what was already there. So those apartment units were already there and he just gutted all 3 of them and rebuilt them from the inside out. Okay, is that Miss Salvery has a question. Go ahead, Carrie.
I'm asking this for clarification. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so Annie, you said at the beginning of the meeting that you would not be sending anything back to the neighborhood association. However, you have a person from English Avenue who has some unreadiness. And also, I think I heard Mr. Maxwell say that they are scheduled to go to the English Avenue Neighborhood Land Use Committee on Wednesday. So yes. I'm just wondering whether or not you want to hold to that recommendation not to send anything back. And my question for Annie.
Yeah, I mean, in the situation in this, since the voting will happen Wednesday prior to the actual NPUL meeting, we could vote to move this back to the neighborhood association because it's going back to the neighborhood association on Wednesday.
Okay.
So by then we should get a recommendation between Wednesday and next Tuesday.
However,
go ahead, Madam Chair.
however, during this meeting, we should get a recommendation on how we should move forward. We should have both, all ducks in a row.
Yes, and I agree with that. So we can do a recommendation with amendment where they still go to English Avenue and get that recommendation. So at this stage, because we have 7 minutes left, do we have a recommendation for the NPUL body?
I'm ready to dismiss, Madam Chair. The other project on Lindsay and Oliver had the same situation, and we didn't send it back because there was confusion. There was a November 9th letter that went to the city, but we still voted on moving it forward to the NPU. So I'm a bit confused about why we're now, Ms. Carey, looking at sending that back. Because
No, I asked a question. I'm not recommending one way or another either. I was asking for clarification in terms of what was stated in the beginning, and that were concerns from the neighborhood people themselves about some readiness. And so, but it is up to the people to determine, you know, to vote or not vote, to send it back or send it forward. I was just asking for clarification.
Yeah, I understand that we had the same unclarity with the other project. So it's that issue. Madam Chair, I think we ought to stay with what we said we're going to do. We move it forward and not be moving back and forth.
Carrie, so I have two hands up. So Carrie, are you done? Because Carrie was just asking a question for clarification. I understand your question, Clary. It made sense, and all the hands are down. So is there a recommendation from the body for Matt's project, 551 Lindsay Street? Carrie, is your hand back up? Carrie?
Hi, this is Helen.
No, let me ask the question. My hand is not up. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it unraised.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead, Helen. I heard you.
And I may not ask this right, but I recommend that this proposal be sent back to both associations so that they can properly review and get back with the NPU in order to move forward.
Helen, they're already going to the neighborhood. They're already going to the neighborhood association. They're going on Wednesday.
Right. So, by the time we get to us on Monday, even if we move it forward to the NPUL, they still will have met with English Avenue prior to our NPUL meeting next Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I need a motion for what we're going to do with this. What is our recommendation to the NPUL body? Does anybody have a motion?
I motion to send it back to the neighborhood association.
Ms. Campbell, it's already going to the neighborhood association this Wednesday.
So what do you want a motion for?
We need a recommendation for the NPU. How do you all want to give a recommendation to the NPU next week, Tuesday, on this project?
Well, my recommendation is that it not be allowed to go forward.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. Is there a second? Mother Moore, is that you seconding it? Okay, so there's a first. Ms. Pat has moved a motion not to move it forward. Ms. Mother Moore has seconded.
Any discussion on the motion before we take a vote?
This is Linda. I can't raise my hand. My vote is a no.
Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand, click the yes. We'll count it however you can. All those against, please click no. Are people raising their hand? If you're for the motion, raise your hand or click yes.
Who clicked yes?
Okay, I
Jen
need some
Mother,
clarity.
Jen
Yes.
Mother Moore got kicked
Yes,
out.
I'm a yes.
Okay, she's back in.
Okay, Mother Moore is a yes, I got you. Helen, I know you can't raise your hand. You are,
A yes.
you're a yes,
Yes.
okay. And Linda's a no, because she can't raise her hand.
Well, let me clarify something, if I may, before you count my no. Is the motion to send it back to English Avenue
No, it's not.
Association?
The motion
No.
is to not move forward with the project. That is the recommendation from this.
To not move forward with at this level? Okay, you can keep my no.
Mine is no too. I can't find the hand.
It's your motion.
Miss
Oh,
Pat, you mean
You
yes?
going
You
against
mean
your
yes.
motion?
no, I don't know. I'm trying to find the hand. No.
No, Miss Pat.
Careful. This is your motion, and it's been second. So you're going against your motion?
No, I'm not going against my motion.
Okay.
Then you need to
So
vote yes.
You voting yes.
But I can't find it.
Don't worry,
Okay.
I got you. I got you accounted for.
Thank you.
I got you.
I'm abstaining, so I don't know how you want to count
I
that.
got you, Miss Carey. You're gonna abstain. Yeah, because some people are having difficulties finding everything, so we'll just take it that way. All right, so we have accounted, we have 5 yays. We have 2 nays and 1 abstention. So the motion carries. All right, Annie, motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. And folks, thank you so much. We're at 8:01, and that is our last presentation. And our next land use meeting is March 1st at 6:30, 2021. We are adjourned. See everybody then. Have a wonderful week,
Everybody,
month,
have a
and
good night.